Hey guys, welcome back to Titan Talk. This is episode 3. I'm the Atomic Beast. This is my co-host,
Scrye.
And today, with Godzilla King of the Monsters about a little more than 2 months away, we're going to talk about the next installment in the Monsterverse series, which was Kong Skull Island. So, Scrye, I'll let you go first. What'd you think? How'd you think the marketing was going into the movie? What'd you think about the movie? What'd you think about the trailers first, and what'd you think about the movie as a whole?
So, I gotta be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of King Kong.
Okay.
I feel like in the pantheon of monsters, he's the weakest, and so I just never really paid attention to him. I've seen the King Kong movies, the old one, the Peter Jackson one, and I did see Skull Island, but here's the problem for me, I didn't even know it existed.
What, Skull Island?
Yeah, I didn't know it existed until after it had left theaters.
Like, are you talking about as a real place, or like you didn't know that King Kong lives on a place called Skull Island?
I did not know that the movie had been made. Is my point, was what I'm trying to say. I didn't know that Kong Skull Island was a movie.
Oh, okay.
So
that probably made it even better that you were like, wow, there's another installment in this Monsterverse series.
Well, I had heard one thing about it, and because it was Kong, I immediately dismissed it. I knew Legendary made it, and I knew Pacific Rim, but I immediately dismissed it that they were even talking about making a movie. And I never even gave it a second glance or even looked at it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until we got closer. I think I didn't see. When did it come out? What year did it come out?
2016.
Yeah, I probably didn't see it until late 2017, early 2018.
Mm-hmm. Let me look it up. Actually, I don't remember when it came out.
But and I didn't.
Oh no, it was 2017. Never mind.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I watched it late in the game after it had already come out, and I didn't know anything about the marketing. I didn't know anything about it, right? So I literally, the only reason I watched this was because I was done watching all my other Godzilla movies and wanted something new to watch, and I was looking at the list of monster movies, and I was like, what's this Kong Skull Island? I wonder what this is all about. I wonder if it's going to be crappy or whatever.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it. I still, to this day, have not seen a trailer for it. I just saw pictures and stuff, and I was like, interesting. Okay, let's see what Legendary did. Because, Legendary's made some really good films, but some of them, to me, it's felt very campy, like the Dracula movie that they made and a few others.
Was that Dracula 2000? Oh, or Dracula Untold?
Untold, yeah.
Okay.
Like, I thought it was a really good movie and a good story, but the whole thing just kind of felt campy to me. It felt like a live-action anime, which was great, but a live-action anime usually feels pretty campy.
Yeah.
But it was a good movie overall. Acting was great anyway. But my point is, it felt campy, and it just just seeing that movie put a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. So I didn't have high hopes for Kong Skull Island when I initially heard of it. I didn't know when it came out. I didn't know how long it had been out. I hadn't watched any reviews or heard anything about it. And I literally looked it up. This is going to sound really bad. I bootlegged it and watched it in really poor quality, but fell in love with the movie instantly. That movie... Oh, I love it. I think it's one of the better monster movies that's been made. The original Kong movies, even the Peter Jackson movies, for me, felt so damn long. And
it was. I think that movie is about 2.5 hours.
The Peter Jackson one's 3 hours.
I was even going to say probably closer to 3. I wasn't sure if that was with or without some of the deleted scenes.
I don't know if that's with or without, but I know that in the theater it's 3 hours, so
okay.
It's probably longer with the deleted scenes. But my point is, they always just felt long and drawn out because of the type of monster Kong is and where he came from. But I didn't know that Kong Skull Island was in any way related or linked to the Godzilla 2014 movie. And when that came to light in the movie, I fell in love with it even more, and it made me really appreciate how they were using the concept of Skull Island in their Monsterverse, and what they were using it for as like an entryway for these other giant beasts to come through from the underground pocket.
Did you find out it was connected when you first watched it, or when, like, or before that?
I didn't know anything about the movie until I watched it. So everything that I learned was from the first time I watched the movie. I didn't see any of the marketing. I didn't read any reviews. I didn't read anything about it. I just knew that it was a movie that was out, and I was bored.
So when they're when they're sitting in the guy's office at the beginning of the movie, and he said, the 1954 bombings weren't tests; they were trying to kill something. Is that when you were like, "Holy shit, I know what that is"? Remember, because he shows the images technically from the first Godzilla movie of the bomb site.
Does he show it in Kong School? I don't remember that part.
Yeah, he takes out the photos in the first part of the movie.
No. The part where it connected is when they legitimately said the name Monarch and brought up Monarch.
Oh, okay.
That's when it all connected to me, and I was like, wait, what is this? Is this connected? So it turns out it's a sequel in the franchise, but a prequel in the timeline. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird, but I see what they did. I understand why they did it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't feel... I guess it makes sense because Kong's so small compared to what he will be in Godzilla vs. King Kong.
Yeah, he was kind of in his infancy.
And it makes sense that they... okay, so here's my ultimate takeaway from Kong Skull Island. It's a great movie, great acting, love the plot, the storyline, and everything and how it all connects. But I honestly feel like that movie was made because 2014 did so well, and Gareth Edwards went on to make Rogue One, which brought spotlight to Gareth Edwards, which brought more attention to 2014. So Warner Brothers was like, hey, let's make a new Kong movie, because, I mean, the Peter Jackson King Kong movie did okay, but I don't think it won any, like, awards or anything.
No, I don't think it did either. I think it overdid itself. I think it kind of overdid itself with, like...
Yeah, it was too epic. That movie was good, but it was just too epic.
It just drags at it a little bit.
But anyway, my point is, I feel like it was Warner Brothers' attempt at going, hey, let's bring back the Godzilla vs. King Kong movie and make that hype. You know, Japan versus America. Let's do it all over again, because I believe wasn't King Kong or Godzilla vs. King Kong, or however it's titled, the first one.
King Kong vs. Godzilla.
Isn't it? Well, the American version, it's King Kong versus Godzilla, but in the original Japanese, it's Godzilla versus King Kong, because usually when you have a title like that, whoever's going to win is the one that's said first. So that's why you have Godzilla versus Megalon, Godzilla versus Gigan.
I thought it was King Kong first all over, or all across the board.
Well, no, because there's two different endings for that movie. I don't know if you knew this, but the original
I do know that.
Toho one.
There's two different cuts. Well, no, it's the same cut. The audio is changed out.
But in the Japanese version, it clearly shows that, or tells you that Godzilla is the winner, because you don't see Kong come up out of the water in the Japanese cut. But in the American cut, he comes up out of the water, but you're never told that Godzilla died. So, and then Toho came out many moons later and said, you know, officially it's a tie. So Warner Brothers, I think, is trying to capitalize on this, the monster brawl of the century, and I feel like they're making a big deal about a monster that is not a big deal. Like, I honestly think that the monster battle of the century is going to be Ghidorah versus Godzilla, but you know, that's just me. But it's the two big franchises. It's Kong versus Godzilla, America versus Japan. Let's throw down. So because of that, I feel like the movie was sort of rushed.
You're talking about King Kong versus Godzilla or Skull Island?
And Skull Island.
Okay.
Like I feel like they made that movie to give some backstory and set things up for the Godzilla versus Kong movie.
Yeah.
And that's mostly due to the improper, I don't want to say improper, but the lack of character development that there are for all the individual characters within the story, like there was in the 2014. I mean, yeah, I know nobody gives a shit about Ford Brody. I know nobody gives a shit about his family. But regardless if you do, their character development, you see Ford go through a lot of stuff, conflicted as a soldier between doing his duty and saving his family. You know what I mean? Like there's really good, and then you had his father who had some really good character development, and then he's taken away. Like Kong Skull Island, I didn't feel anything for Samuel Jackson. I didn't feel anything for John Goodman's character. I didn't feel anything for the characters except for the World War I vet or whatever, the guy, what's his name?
I can't think of
the guy that was with the Iwis.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
You know who I'm talking about. The guy they find on the island.
Yeah.
The fighter pilot. Like, he's the only character out of all of them that I actually enjoyed in that movie that had somewhat of a decent character development story, because they gave us that little snippet to introduce the movie at the title screen, and then they bring him back into the story, and he describes the events that happened in the past in such a way as if you were meeting somebody. They're not going to sit there and tell you it was cold and dark and rainy in the forest, and you could hear he was just like, no, me and this guy were in a dogfight, shot each other down, almost killed each other when we met Kong, and then we spent many, many moons trying to get out of this place, and then he died by the skull crawlers. I
think his name was Milo, by the way. I think
Milo. So anyway,
sure.
So outside of that, the special effects were great. The battle sequences were great, in my opinion. I just kind of feel like that the character development, I feel like the characters were really lackluster. I feel like there was no real. Why did Samuel L. Jackson had to act like Captain Ahab? I get he's maybe like stressing out that he's leaving war. Like he's got that mentality that he wants to stay in war. I get that, but it's not something that I don't know. It's not something that was expressed enough. Maybe it just felt like he was trying to pull the Captain Ahab and hunt Kong, and I felt took away from the actual severity of the movie, which is Skull Island is a hole for these monsters to come through onto the surface. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And we woke them up bombing them. So I don't know.
Yeah, that was kind of like one of the big points of the movie, and they kind of just glossed over it like very quickly, like the Hollow Earth theory.
I honestly felt they did. They glossed over it, but honestly, like for Samuel Jackson's character, I honestly feel like if they would have made his character more of somebody like a profiteer, the war's fixing to be over. He's going to be basically out of a job, going into retirement. He wants to try to make some money, finds out about this mission, and finds out about, like, they're going to some unknown island that could have whatever, and in his mind, he's actually being greedy. And when they find out about Kong, instead of him wanting to kill Kong, he wants to try to capture Kong, and the greed is what leads to his death. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that kind of steals a page out of the last two major Kong movies, though. Maybe they wanted to go with something different, because I get what they did with him. He's like war torn, and he basically has like a thirst for blood still. So that's why he wants to kill Kong. Like I got that part.
But the majority of people, not just Godzilla fans, but casual viewers that'll watch this movie cannot relate to that unless they've served in the military or been a police officer or something that has been in a combat situation like that, But people can relate to greed and how being greedy hurts, because people will go and gamble in Vegas spend all their money and walk away with nothing, or play the lottery and get nothing and spend so much money. So they can relate to greed easier, and it makes sense. And then it hits home when they relate to the greed when the guy gets killed by the thing he's trying to profit off of. So I don't know. Yeah, you're right. It probably could be. It probably is stealing a page. But if you look at all the Kong, every story that ever has to do with Kong, Kong is synonymous with greed. Even in the original Godzilla versus Kong movie, the whole reason they got Kong was not to fight Godzilla, but because that communications company or that television network studio or whatever it was said Kong was their property. Like they were just transferring him to Japan. Like you know what I mean? And then the original, that's the same concept. So you can't take that aspect away from Kong the same way you can't take away the aspect of Godzilla being a natural force of nature that we can't deal with. You see what I'm saying? It's just a part of his character no matter where he's at. So they didn't have that in here. Mm-hmm. It was one of those. It was, and I'm not saying it was a bad story. It just wasn't. It didn't feel familiar for a Kong movie or for a Kong character, and it made me feel like this Kong in this Monsterverse is not the same King Kong that is the American King Kong. This feels like a different Kong to me. Yeah, but outside of that, I like the movie a lot. It's one of my favorite monster movies, mostly because the special effects are really good, and I love how many different creatures they showed in this movie, and I love the fact that they've opened up the story with things like the skull crawlers and possible other creatures that have issues like the skull crawlers, where there's a lot of them, and they, if left unchecked, they could kill out everything that feeds them, and then destroy life on the planet as we know. You know what I mean? So I really did enjoy that. What about you?
But leading into the movie, I already knew it was connected because as soon as the pictures of the movie set came about, you saw the Monarch M on the helicopters. So right away we knew this was connected because it was being shared all over the groups and everything. And then once the first trailer came out, the first trailer, you don't see all of Kong. He's always in the shadow, and you just mainly see his arm. And his main line of that trailer was, "I spend 20 years of my life trying to prove that monsters exist." Right when he said that, everyone knew that was the big move. This was the kickoff to the entire Monsterverse series. This is kind of where it all started.
Right. This is showing the origins of Monarch, and they're really realizing just what is going on the planet. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So
I didn't realize. I didn't know that that's what this was. I probably be more inclined to watch it, but
yeah, no, I would have watched it anyway, even if it wasn't connected. But I feel you're right. I feel like it is definitely a different Kong, but I did like this Kong, even though it was different. It was a nice type of different. And what I felt after the movie kinda is that it the director definitely saw 14, and he was like, "Shit, we got to make this next installment pretty good." So you could tell right off the bat, you get a good shot of Kong in the beginning, and then that's the little teaser. So kind of the same thing Godzilla did, but right when they get to the island, shit starts off, and then there's not much time where he's off screen. So that kind of solved the let's keep the main character on screen issue. And then along with that, it showed, I don't really think there were any kind of dull parts of the movie. Everything was moving along pretty well in it, and nothing felt like it dragged at all for a 2-hour movie. And, what else was I going to say? And the fillers I like too, how you see all different types of animals on Skull Island too. They're not shy with any of the monsters on screen, which I like. They weren't afraid to show anything off.
What was your favorite like monster besides the two main ones, the skull crawlers and Kong? Like, what was your favorite like sub monster character or side monster character?
I don't really think I had a favorite, but the water buffalo, the two scenes with it was interesting. Particularly when the one is stuck under the helicopter. I like that scene a lot.
Oh yeah.
Remember where it's stuck under the helicopter? Weaver's trying to lift it up, and then Kong lifts it up,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see his full size right there. So that basically shows you like he's really like the god and the caretaker of the island, which is what it was trying to establish. And then ultimately it gave the message like how she says does she say this? When Kong comes up to her, she says we shouldn't be here. Or was that a different movie that they did that? Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I recognize that quote, but I don't remember it from Kong Skull Island.
I forget if it is or not, but I mean, you can kind of tell that's what she's saying when Kong comes up to her. That they kind of shouldn't be there and they shouldn't be interfering with what nature is doing at all. And that was kind of the main message of the movie. But it follows the same message that
was
2014.
that really the message? Was that really the same message? Because I didn't honestly get a message from this movie.
No,
this
I got
literally,
that. I got that from it, to be honest.
This felt like the Star Wars prequel felt to the original Star Wars movies. That's what this felt like. Because it is a prequel. And I just felt like it was setting things up, but I didn't really get any kind of message because, especially like knowing what we know now, Godzilla versus Kong, I don't know. I don't feel like there really was a message. Yeah, I remember when the guy said when you come knocking on someone's door with a bunch of bombs or whatever, they're going to be pissed off or whatever he said, but he was talking about how they were
unless you're
dropping
picking
bombs.
a fight. That's what he said.
Yeah. So, I get that, and maybe that's what they were trying to say, but at the same time, I don't know.
Well, it's kind of it goes along with the same theme that the other Godzillas go with, and that's if you mess with nature, it's going to fight back.
Is it?
Yeah, it followed suit. You didn't get that?
No, not at all. Not from
it followed
this movie.
suit
because they didn't do anything to nature.
Yeah, they were blowing shit up, and they were disturbing the environment.
They were trying to get off. Okay, so for me, they were trying to get off the island.
Yeah.
After they bombed stuff, Kong came up and pretty much killed everybody. There was like a handful of survivors, right? Yeah. From that point forward, they were trying to leave. They weren't digging. They weren't blowing other stuff up. I mean, they were searching for the weapons and stuff, but that was on behalf of the crazy-ass general, which didn't make any sense. I really think his character should have had a different motivation for his actions.
Packard?
Yeah.
Samuel Jackson. Okay.
Yes, his character. And anyway, but they didn't do anything. And then on top of that, we got a bunch of filler scenes, and most of the focus was on how Kong was supposed to be or was at war with the skull crawlers and was called the god of the island. Mm. Not so much that he was designated the protector. He's just seen as a god. As we will soon find out in King of the Monsters, most of these gods like Mothra, or most of the monsters like Mothra, were seen as gods. That doesn't mean anything special. That doesn't mean he has an actual purpose. Because after the Kong Skull Island thing happened, they released a bunch of comic books called The Birth of Kong. Did you read those or know what happened in those?
I read it late, but I read it probably like 3-4 months ago, maybe.
Right. So my point is, there were multiple Kongs, just like there were multiple skull crawlers, and there was basically a big territorial battle. And because they were on Skull Island, they couldn't just run away. They weren't on a big continent to just run away. and move. So they were forced to fight to the death, and unfortunately, Kong's parents didn't make it. You know what I mean? His whole tribe died. So, I honestly felt like Kong Skull Island, as good as it was, and for what the story was, it was good, but it literally just felt like a prequel. It didn't feel like there was any messages or anything. It just was like showcasing Kong, letting us know that he's only a baby, you know, he's not as big as he's gonna be or could be. And you know, we saw him go through a trial with the big Skullcrawler. But I mean, the humans, and I mean, even the fact that we had that tribe there, the pygmy tribe that didn't talk at all and didn't do. I mean, it's not like they had technology. They weren't burning forests down or cutting things down or anything.
Yeah.
Hell, they didn't even talk. So it wasn't like this movie was centered around humans really doing anything to the island other than the initial bombing to find out that, the bombing part, honestly, to me was an excuse to not only figure out that the Hollow Earth thing existed, but to wake up the monsters there that Kong had managed to keep subdued.
Yeah.
And that was it. You know what I mean? And that was the plot driver. And then the rest of it, like Colonel Packer, who gives a fuck? He dies, right?
Yeah.
The only people that you really care about in the end is the guide, the journalist,
Conrad,
and the two Monarch scientists.
Okay, yeah.
Which are at the end when they're like, there are more out there, and they start showing all the photos of Ghidorah and Rodan and.
Well, that was the kicker scene. What's ironic is I think people were more excited to see that one scene than the whole movie, but that just tells you how good, that just tells you probably how good the next one is going to be.
Well, that just tells you what people really want. I feel like Warner Brothers want it. Like, this was kind of a grab to share some of the spotlight with Toho's creation, Godzilla. And so they were going to do this King Kong thing and have them throw down. And honestly, what really, if I had to compare it to anything, I would have to compare it to how bad the Batman vs. Superman movie was. I'm not saying that this is like that because obviously Kong isn't fighting Godzilla, but my point is the lead up to Batman vs. Superman was good. I mean, the Man of Steel movie was really good, and whatever came right before that was good. But the Batman vs. Superman movie was terrible, and they made it sound like it was Batman vs. Superman when it was really two idiots not paying attention to the real bad guy who ended up making a major doomsday. Yeah, you know what I mean? And then they ended up working together and Wonder Woman comes out of nowhere. Like, I'm afraid that's what's going to happen because that movie wasn't particularly good, and I'm afraid that that's what's going to happen with Godzilla vs. King Kong, simply because Warner Brothers couldn't just let Legendary make Godzilla King of the Monsters, or as I like to call it, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster 2.0.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I have my own theories of what's going to happen in the final movie, and there's two main possibilities I'm leading at for Godzilla vs. Kong. But
yeah, I haven't done any speculation on it yet, but
I have a little bit.
I'll probably do more speculation after King of the Monsters comes out, and we kind of get a feel because because it's going to. I'm assuming it's going to be a direct sequel, considering they're almost done with filming, right?
Yeah, it is.
What is with Hollywood? They don't understand the power of these franchises. They did this shit with The Matrix. They made the first one, and it turned out to be a fucking bombshell at the box office, and then they make the sequels back to back with slightly better, cinematography and stuff, which kind of threw off the continuity a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. They should have just made all three of them. Like, honestly, I want to tell movie studios, if you're going to make any kind of a trilogy or a series, try to make all three at the same time. Like, write one giant-ass trilogy script and then split it up.
Separate it into three movies.
Yeah. Don't sit here and write a movie like Godzilla 2014, which literally could be its own standalone movie. Yeah. You know what I mean? It really could. and then start writing these other movies and stuff like that, and wanting to grab at the chance to use a IP, a Kong. I don't know, just do it right. Do it right. Like, make the whole product and then release it. And if you do a good quality job, instead of testing the waters with movies, you're gonna reap the benefits tenfold. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to get off topic of Scotland too much, but what's interesting is I found this out on one of when D-Man was live with, who was he live with? Who's that guy who left not too long ago, and then just
D-Man was live with somebody. Oh,
his name's Chris. What was
G-Man?
Goji
Chris
fan?
Kaizen.
Goji fan?
Chris Kaizen. Goji fan 93, was it?
Yes, he was doing a live with him.
93?
And then I actually previously knew this, but I forgot about it for the longest time, and he reminded me of it. He said that they had renewed Godzilla for 3 movies. So you know how everything comes in a trilogy now when you renew something for it. So, and we were supposed to get 3 different Godzilla movies, but I guess because number 1 they were running out of time after 2014, and number 2 they just had to get fan hype again. They threw Kong into the mix so that the third one was Godzilla vs. Kong, but originally it was supposed to be Godzilla's own trilogy. And then if he got renewed, Kong was supposed to fight him after the 3rd movie.
See, and that's...
but I have my own theories about that we'll probably talk about in the next episode, and that's what I just believe happened because of how 2014 was done. That's just how I feel about it. I think it was just rushed.
You think 2014 was rushed?
No. I don't think 2014 was rushed. I think after 2014 came out and people didn't like it, and obviously fans liked it, but the majority of people who just want to go to the movies to see monsters fight.
It did really well, actually.
It did do really well, but again, like we discussed in the last episode, it's because Godzilla was such a big name that it saved itself that way. But say we were getting another movie where there wasn't going to be that many monsters, probably not as many people would go see it, because of what they saw out of the first one, and they were as I said, I saw statuses upon statuses of how can you have a Godzilla movie but you barely have Godzilla in it. And I believe after that they were struggling to figure out what are we going to do with the next movie, who's going to direct it and whatnot. And then Gareth Edwards kind of left really out of nowhere, so the project didn't have a director, and that's when they asked Mike Doherty to do it. And then so he did King of the Monsters, and because he had to take time to do King of the Monsters and to do it correctly, because of he had to build.
Michael Doherty did King of the Monsters too?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who directed Kong Skull? That's what I thought you said. I'm sorry.
I actually don't know. Let me look it up real quick. But
I thought that's when you said King of the Monsters, I was thinking Kong.
No,
Skull Island.
No, he didn't. I know for a fact he didn't do Kong Skull Island. Director. But anyway, because of how that movie ended up, he had to kind of get going right away with King of the Monsters. Mm-hmm. So since he was doing that, he couldn't direct King Kong or Godzilla vs. King Kong at the same time. That just wouldn't have worked out because they were running out of time. They only have till 2020.
But I thought they started production of Godzilla vs. Kong after they were finished with production on Godzilla Godzilla King of the Monsters, because they have a lot of the same actors in it.
Yeah,
so why couldn't he have worked on that?
Because he was doing King of the Monsters. There's no way he could have done both. in that time frame and got it done by by the time that their contract with Godzilla expired. I mean, I don't know the terms of it. I don't know if they could have released it after 2020, but had the rights to use him in a film before that. I don't know like how that stuff works, but do you know what I'm saying? Like, he just couldn't do two projects at once. It was just too much for him. So that's why they had to get Adam Wingard to do it. Yeah. So what was my original point? I can't even remember. Oh,
we were talking about Gareth Edwards directing Monsterverse and how
3 Godzilla movies, but then Kong was just kind of thrown into it. But anyway, back to some of Kong Skull Island. So what were some of your favorite parts of the movie, really?
All the battle scenes. Every single one of them was
amazing.
I loved all of it. Like, my favorite parts of the movie were all the monster parts of the movie. Like, I'm so glad that they learned their lesson, and it gave me high hopes for King of the Monsters.
Yeah.
But I loved all the monster parts. I love everything about the movie. I just feel like, again, like it was just rushed. It feels like a prequel. It feels like a prequel. It feels like it should feel. It doesn't feel like it's supposed to be a movie like the 2014 movie was. It doesn't feel like any...
It felt like a different vibe to it.
Yeah, it didn't even feel like the movie was about King Kong. It felt like the movie was about Monarch finding out that monsters exist. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it felt like. And that's okay. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I was good with it. Because they both blended nicely. It's not like It's not like you had Kong's name on it, but this was a Monarch movie. Like, they blended very well.
Right. Kong Skull Island. I feel like maybe the title could have been different.
What would you like to call it?
I don't know, but Kong Skull Island just feels bland. Like, it could have been something like Kong. Man, I don't know. Prophecy of the King. I don't know. That's my line. I thought
maybe just Kong. I don't know.
Yeah, Kong, Prophecy of the Beast or something. I don't know, just something cool, but not just Kong Skull Island. Like, it doesn't.
Or Kong, or no, you can't call it Kong Origins because Birth of Kong is basically Kong Origins.
Right.
I don't know. I was okay with the title.
It felt misleading to me. I wish they would, if they're gonna name something like that, just, I don't know, put something. Give us a little bit more so we don't... Kong Skull Island could have been in my mind, I went into the movie thinking it was another fucking remake of the original Kong story. Like I said, I didn't know it was at all involved with the legendary Monsterverse. Yeah. So that's what... It was very off-putting to begin with because I was tired of seeing the same damn Kong story. So it was very refreshing to see a different Kong story.
Yeah.
And that's why I say this doesn't feel like a normal Kong. This doesn't feel like this normal King Kong.
Because I think this is also the first... Is this the first King Kong movie where Kong never sees civilization? Isn't every other movie take place at one point or another in the city or an urban area? Yeah, so this was the first movie where you saw it. Well, unless you want to count... what was the movie right after the first King Kong? Son of Kong. That's the only other movie that they stay on on the island the entire movie.
Yeah, but that's the Son of Kong.
Yeah, well, that's why I said if you even want to count that.
Yeah, no. That's Junior's home movie trying to get in on the franchise. No. Yeah, I really... It was refreshing. It was a good movie overall, and I would recommend anybody who's a friend of monster movies to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know anything about it, so I guess my disappointment comes from my own actual preconceived notions that I just immediately thought because, again, I'm not a very big King Kong fan anyway. I mean...
Yeah.
You know, come on, a bunch of planes from the 1930s took him out. Come on.
Yeah. Well, that and he's really just like I guess he's really just like a giant gorilla. Like everything else has like a superpower or something that we know of.
Yeah,
And
he's just a
this was
giant
like
gorilla.
the main. This was the only character that's just kind of like a giant gorilla, and that's it.
Kong is a very bland character that if I had to rank it, it would be at the same rank as the Zilla monster from the '98 movie for me. It's not very interesting.
Yeah.
It's something I feel like he could be an afterthought, like the Kong species of giant gorillas within the Monsterverse, but not a main character. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Well, I mean, we're gonna see.
The Mudos could kill Kong easy. The Mudos could kill Kong.
Well, at this size, yes, but I don't think. I think in 2020 we're gonna see a lot more of him. Like how he's not just ordinary. That's just my feeling. I think we're gonna see how he's not just ordinary. Like he's got like super strength, and he'll have probably have some type of elemental power to him or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen that little animated Godzilla versus King Kong short? It's about, I don't know, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes long max, or 10 minutes long.
I think
it was.
I think I've seen a part of it. I know exactly what video you're talking about because it kept popping up.
It's really good. It's really good, and you should watch it. Like, honestly, if Legendary needs to take some notes, that they need to watch that little animation because it's animated and stuff too. But if you were to translate those live actions, or if you were to translate that animation into live action, the scenes, the fight, everything about it was good. It's good.
Yeah.
And it would be worth. I would pay to see that. Like, that's the way you want to do a King Kong versus Godzilla fight, not what I'm afraid they're going to do.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to see how Wingard does it. I haven't seen any Wingard movies, so I'm not really sure how he's going to handle this one. But
what is he known for making?
I think his most famous one is Death Note.
Oh, no.
I think.
Well, okay.
I'll double check what else he directed.
I'm okay with this because so far all of these up-and-coming directors have been proving themselves really well with the IPs that they have. So if he's only done Death Note, then Death Note wasn't terrible. It was just it's hard to do a live action. Oh,
he also did You're Next. If you saw that one was really good.
You're Next?
Yeah, I think he's a horror genre artist, which. He did VHS, VHS 2, Blair Witch, VHS and VHS 2, where I can't really speak for them because I saw them a while ago. I don't think I've seen VHS 2, but it scares people, I know that much. And the new Blair Witch I saw, and I really liked that. That was a very good tie-in to the original one. So if
the new Blair Witch, I haven't seen the new one.
Yeah, 2016.
I saw the original one.
You could rent it or something. But if he gives the Godzilla vs. Kong the same kind of treatment he did like Blair Witch, then I'm not worried about it at all because he tied it in very, like, for such an old and low budget movie of the original Blair Witch, this new one, it felt like this was literally like in this. It felt like it was the same director, just with more resources. If that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I felt like
it tied
Empire
into
Strikes
it very
Back.
well.
That's good. Okay, well then maybe I don't know.
But I gotta see how he does a monster movie. That's the only thing. He does the horror.
Right.
He does horror well, but I gotta see how he does a monster movie. So, I'm not too worried about it overall, and I have my own speculations on what I think is going to happen, but that's for another episode. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else we can review for Skull Island.
What would you change if there was anything to change about it?
I don't think I'd change anything.
What did you not like?
I don't think I'd change anything completely, to be completely honest. I thought everything fit well. The only thing I found weird was that you know how. All right, so both of these movies had like big actors to them. So 14 had Bryan Cranston. This one had John Goodman. What I
Mm-hmm.
found weird is both the biggest names died in both movies. That's the only part I found weird. I wasn't expecting John Goodman to die like at all. It just happened, and I was like, "Is he coming back?" And then once the Skullcrawler ran away, I was like, "Yeah, no, he's not coming back. He's dead." So
He's gone.
yeah, but I thought he was a good addition to the movie. Oh, and
I
Samuel
will say
Jackson.
that.
How could I forget that? But it made sense for him to die. Plus, he died at the very end. So
Mm-hmm.
he
Got a
they
good
got his
death.
they got like their use out of him, and then I think his death was kind of more justified. But I don't think I'd necessarily change anything. Maybe just have John Goodman play a few more parts, like till later in the movie. But that was really it. Overall, I really didn't have any complaints about it. I thought it ended very well. And then obviously the post credit scene was what everyone was waiting for because everyone knew about it already. And then that created the hype we're at now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what about you?
No, I don't know. I don't think I would really change anything about it. It just that's just. I mean, I just have my opinion on it. I think the movie's fine. Honestly, I think everything was okay. I didn't have any real qualms with it. The plot and the story flowed, and gave me. It didn't give me enough information that I want, but I always want more. But it gave us enough to satiate the wanting to know what this Monsterverse is all about.
Yeah.
What's this flat Earth? What's in flat Earth? What's this Hollow Earth theory? And how are these monsters really moving across the planet and stuff like
Yeah.
that? And what does that really mean for the rest of the world? And all just there's so much there. It gave us enough to make you ask so many more questions, which was perfect because it set up what's coming next.
Yeah. I thought it was a really nice intermediate too, because like I thought we were literally just gonna wait entirely until King of the Monsters for the next installment in the series. So it was like a nice intermediate in between, because you got 14, 15, 16, 17, and then we got Skull Island, and then all we had to wait is 18, 19, and then we get King of the Monsters. So it was a really nice in between.
Yeah, it definitely was a really nice filler movie. And it served a purpose. Gave us a little bit more background. So yeah, I thought it was good. I now own it. So, but I own all the Monsterverse movies so far, which is only two of.
Yeah. All right, so I think we've pretty much hit everything on that. And the only other thing I wanted to say about it, how you didn't get the message before. If you remember the description for 2014, it basically said or implied that humanity's arrogance awoke these monsters. Godzilla had to fix it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of the same message it was given out in Kong. We made it to Skull Island, like usual. We fucked things up. We rewoke the skull crawlers, and then Kong had to fix it. So basically the same kind of humanity's arrogance type message.
Huh. You just set off some light bulbs in my head for some Godzilla Origins ideas.
Yeah.
Because my I don't know if you've listened to any of it, but that whole series is based off the Monsterverse. So, and I'm currently ending season 1. Like, I'm working on the season finale now, and I'm hoping to have it out before the comic book comes out. But
Aftershock.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming soon, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I pre-ordered it. So it's. Let me see.
I'm trying to cover the right bases before this comic book comes out, because once the comic book comes out and gives me more information, it's going to make me want to rewrite the story, and I don't want to do that. I want to get it out and start focusing on season 2, which will be coming after King of the Monsters comes out. But
April 16th, Aftershock will be here.
Oh shit, that's like in a week.
No, that's next month.
April. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. It is March.
I kind of keep forgetting what month it is too.
Dude, I go to work, I come home, I make YouTube videos, so on and so forth. Like, that's it. That's all I do. That's my life.
King of the Monsters still feels so far away. Like the time it took to pass between when we found out it was coming to now is short.
Till now,
but I still feel like it's so far away.
I intentionally try to forget about it.
That's exactly what I do, and then I try to forget about it for a long time, and then when the next piece of news comes out, I'm always like, oh.
You're like,
last time I thought about it was all the way back then. That was a good amount of time has passed. But
yeah,
the waiting
that's
would be
the same.
worth it.
But for me, I'm writing these series and they're all Godzilla related, so I can't help but think about Godzilla almost constantly. It's so weird. I'm ready to take a break from writing this stuff in Godzilla, and so that way I don't get burnt out. But in any case, I'm super hyped, and I can't believe we're like less than 2 months, less than 3 months, or less than 2 months.
Less than 3 months, a little over 2 months.
A little over.
Today
2 months,
is what, the 11th. So we got till May 31st. So March, April, May, and then like a little more than half a month. So 2.5 months. About slightly over 2.5 months.
I know there's a website somewhere with one of those countdown ticker things to when it's coming out.
Yeah, the Godzilla Dash movies.
Oh, it has a ticker on the website
right on
too.
Top. I've been looking at that since it said like 900 and something days. I'm pretty sure. And I was like, really? Damn, this is gonna take a while.
That's funny.
And I remember going back in another day seeing like 500 something, and I'm like, damn, it's still gonna be a while. But the wait will be worth it. I guarantee.
What is this? Have you seen the Whoa. I kind of want that coffee mug. Have you seen the coffee mug and stuff that Godzilla Movies is doing? They're the Clash of the Titans, Team Ghidorah versus Team Rodan, which I'm on Team Ghidorah, so I know we're going to win this one.
Yeah, I know Team Godzilla's the strongest, but no, I haven't seen. Actually, I think I have seen their coffee mug, but I forget what it looked like. They have a bunch of posters, right? Like they have they have like a Kaiju Danger poster too.
There's a T-shirt. There's a T-shirt with the really cool picture of Rodan's head, and like a silhouette of one flying with some planes, and then I don't know if those are birds or other Rodan. And then they have a mug with a Ghidorah that's in this weird pattern or whatever. It looks really cool though. And I guess they're prizes if you win or if you opt into whatever this is.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
All right. Well, so I think we've covered everything.
Sounds good.
All right. That just about does it.
All right. Well, I'll see you in the next one then.
Anything you want to announce about your series before we leave?
Other than I'm getting ready to start post-production, so it won't be long before it will be coming out. Release date to be announced.
All right.
That's about it.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. Scrye, I'll catch you later.
See you later.
Later, bud.